Okay, everyone, just calm down. Don't panic. Don't fucking panic. We have a new Dami Mommy, everybody. New Dami Mommy confirmed to show up. I know, I can't believe it either. We just got Quan Chi. That's crazy. Welcome, everyone, to my definitely not a week late review of Chainsaw Man, Chapter 146, Chainsaw Man War. This definitely feels like Part 2's point of no return, because the plot up until this point was confusing, to say the least. A lot of disconnected shit happening, and just a lot of questions that haven't been answered, and so many weird, loose plot threads that don't seem like they could be tied up, but I feel like this chapter puts all of that into perspective, and everything's finally starting to fall into place. And we start right where the last chapter cut off, pun regrettably intended, where Yoshida has cut off Asa's arm and has just clattered to the ground, and he's about to finish the job, and he apologizes even though she followed his orders and whatnot. And I'm sorry, I just can't even pretend to be scared here. Well, no, I am scared on Yoshida's behalf, especially with what we find out at the end of the chapter. I mean, come on, this octopus-slinging motherfucker isn't gonna do anything against the literal fucking war devil. I can only hope he makes it out in one piece and doesn't end up some octopus-style weapon for Yoru. What would that even be, like a Splatoon gun? Barum Solo's over, and now he's monologuing and giving away all of his plans, classic villain style. Even though, wait, is he a villain? He's kind of on their side, but also like fucked with what comes later in the chapter. But he basically answers my question for the last chapter that, yeah, you could just straight up lie in a devil contract, but like, what? What's like the limits of that? What are the terms on that? Can anyone just lie in any contract if like the other party just doesn't give a shit enough to like care? Is there like some Rumpelstiltskin clause where if you guess the devil's real name, it has to like do you a favor or something? Questions I'll lose sleep over aside, Barum does reveal the true identity of the faux justice devil, and it's the goddamn fire devil, which apparently, according to the true part of the contract, gives whoever the fire devil's contracted with the ability to turn into whatever form they so desire, quote unquote. And then we just see everyone turning into Chainsaw Man. Well, the contracted church members, but that's like over 300,000 people, and that's quite a bit. And as always, Fujimoto so picturesquely shows us people all around Japan with chainsaws popping out of their heads and just start fucking killing people. Side note, with the success of the One Piece live action, doesn't anyone else think that like Chainsaw Man is like prime real estate for like a good live action anime? Just like, especially with the way Fujimoto draws and writes, like, I feel like it's practically just like a drawn movie script, you know? But Netflix can keep their dirty little hands off my Chainsaw Man. We then check in on Katana Man and that Nail Fiend from a couple chapters ago to see what they're up to, and they're not having the best time because all those students that they done, I guess, nailed up, they're all chainsawed up now, and and yeah, dude, Katana just looks so done with this shit. I mean, just look at this dude. And then Barum elaborates on more of the Fire Devil's abilities, which is that the more contractors it has contracted with it, the stronger it is. Sort of like the more fuel on the fire, the bigger the fire gets, you know? Fire. He says that up until this point, all the people were taking on, like, more gruesome forms, but he doesn't, like, explain why only until now people are, like, straight up turning into Chainsaw Man. Fake Saw Man aside, obviously. Like, why the fuck did Yuko turn into this thing? And, like, what the fuck did this guy want? As for why it's happening right now, Barum explains that it's because they had mass-scale weddings planned to be had at that exact moment in the Chainsaw Man branches in Canada and China. Oh god, they're in the CCP! And Barum says that all 350,000 contracted church members at this point aren't even technically people anymore and could just be considered devils. Then we see like buildings start to blow up and shit, and it's very clear we're nearing like apocalypse territory very quickly. And hey, speaking of the apocalypse, Barum goes on to repeat the prophecy of Nostradamus, that the King of Terror will descend upon the world within 6 months, or like the end of 1999 or whatever it was, I don't fucking remember. And he says that he and Fami have been plotting to kill the King of Terror and save humanity, and I put save in air quotes there just because I still can't tell if they're like good people or not. Like what the fuck are they trying to do? It reminds me of like Makima's whole philosophy that if she got rid of like the concept of death and hunger and all that like people could be happy. But Denji is not having any of that, and he snaps at Barham and he's like, "Do you really believe any of that bullshit?" To which Nayuta tells him that bullshit it is not. She goes on to claim that she and Fami know the King of Terror is coming because the King of Terror just so happens to be their older sister, the literal Death Devil. To which I just want to say, one, you probably could have mentioned that earlier, the whole my older sister is the prophesized King of Terror that will destroy the human race, but I'm sure you had your reasons. And two, woo! Let's go! The Death Devil is a hot-ass lady! I am so ready to move Marvel's death down to third place of hottest depictions of death in fictional media. First, of course, always being Grim from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Nayuta touts the Death Devil as the super-duper strongest devil with the name feared most of all, which, yeah, checks out. People are pretty afraid of death on average. I mean, I'm not scared of it or anything. No. The only thing I'm scared of is the IRS. And spiders. That too. Nayuta also says that she's finally realized what Fami's big master plan is in this whole game, which is to use this whole everyone turning into Chainsaw Man and started killing each other scenario to be a sort of, I guess, doping equivalent for devils, where you just sort of quickly drive up as much fear for something you can, and in this case being fear of Chainsaw Man and war, to sort of quickly boost the strength of both Denji and Yoru. Which, holy shit, I mean, if there's a plan to have, that is certainly one of them. One small, nitpick or, hypothetical flaw I could see with this plan, however, that I don't know if this will get addressed at all, but wouldn't, doing all this, even if you're powering up people's fear of chainsaws and war, would it not at the same time also drive up the fear for death? I feel like it'd be hard to power up any fear without also ramping up fear for the Death Devil itself, since 99% of fears in animals and people can most of the time be boiled down to me no want die. So even if Asa and Denji become super duper duper strong, would that be enough to fight the literal Death Devil? No, don't ask me. I'm fucking asking you, man. I don't have the answers here. Only Fujimoto does. But a lot of people have been pointing at this early illustration from Part 2 of Chainsaw Man that could be foreshadowing Asa actually turning Denji into a weapon and using him, which I thought wouldn't happen, but the more that I think about it, I kind of want it to be like a Soul Eater scenario where Denji could just sort of turn back and forth. I know there's no precedent for that working or being how Asa and Yoru's powers work, but this is Chainsaw Man and this is fucking Denji we're talking about. Why can't the motherfucker just turn into a chainsaw and back? And that's basically the end of the chapter. Unironically, this is probably my favorite chapter in Part 2 up until this point. I mean, I'd probably have to go back and read through all of it again just to really make sure I'm not talking out of my ass with that statement, but I can't think of any chapter off the top of my head that made me as hype as this one, besides Quan Chi coming back, obviously. But this chapter just feels like the culmination of everything Fujimoto has been doing to this point. All of the weird mind fucking teases he's done, the shit that makes no sense. It's all starting to fall together. And I'm gonna do this for the first time, but I think this was a 10 out of 10 chapter for me. I know. I'm kind of surprised my first 10 out of 10 wasn't a One Piece video either. But I'm a fella that loves surprises, so what can I say? But man, I am just so pumped to see where we go from here. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen next time. I know we're getting a chapter next week because this video definitely didn't come out a week late. And I think that is going to do it. And so with that, I hope you have a lovely day. Bye. Oh yeah, baby.